Well, hello everybody. This is Brian Donahue and Rich Rubino calling from snowy Boston, Massachusetts. Opening day for baseball was just the other day, and we've got about 3 inches of snow on the ground here in Boston. But anyhow, welcome everybody, and thank you for calling into today's webinar. We're very fortunate and privileged to have a very special guest today, one of our nation's top financial advisors and one of our most successful business people in our industry, who's going to share with us some of his best business practices. So we'll get into Rich and his topic in a few minutes. I want to just cover a few opening comments. We are going to be focusing on what you shouldn't be doing if you want to be a top advisor today. Typically we talk about what you should be doing, but I think Rich has offered some insights as to the things he's not doing and stopped doing many years ago and currently in his business practice. But a little bit about DMI and Rich today before we get into the webinar, because we have a significant amount of new people that have joined us. My name is Brian Donahue. I'm the president and CEO of DMI Marketing here in Boston, Massachusetts. We're an IMO, distributes annuities and life insurance products through retail financial advisors like yourself. We've been doing it for almost 30 years, and we're a traditional IMO, like many others that you may be working with, but what makes us different is our marketing services. And one of the value adds of our marketing services is our mentoring program and our outreach to top financial advisors like Rich, who are very gracious in sharing with you some of his practices and how he's gotten to the level of production he has over his career. As I mentioned earlier, he's one of the more prolific writers of annuities in our industry, and he's going to share with us some of his comments and ideas today. So Rich, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and your practice to the audience, and then we'll get into today's topic.
Well, you give me a big head, Brian, you know. Yeah. I mean, the first thing is that you can't do it alone. You know, as you well know, in business, you cannot do it alone. My partner, Sam, and I have been partners for 25 years. He's 20 years younger than I. You know, during our careers, we used to see about the same amount of people. He used to see 4 people a day. I would see 4 people a day. Well, now he sees everybody. And I just deal with the marketing stuff. You knew that I had some time on my hands, so you said, hey, Rich, you have time to come in and do this webinar, do blogs, you know, share some of your experiences, and I'll pay you to do it. So as soon as I heard I'll pay you to do it, that's when I said yes.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, right.
Yes, okay, that's right. All right, so yep. Well, that's fine. That's money well spent as far as I'm concerned, and I think everyone on this call will be the recipients of some very good money well spent. So I think, Rich, you kind of talked about why we're doing this. And DMI is doing this, obviously, because we'd love to do business with more financial advisors and more quality financial advisors. And what differentiates us, as I mentioned earlier, is our marketing. This is one small spoke of what we do, which is sharing best business practices with our audience and our advisors from top people like Rich. We've had Mark Roulette, we've had Fred Boudiette, we've had many others do this. Rich is one of our favorites, because he's probably one of our top advisors as well. But that's why we're doing it, and I think, Rich, you're doing it because I think you get a lot out of it.
Well, I do, and I think that, you know, sharing things that I take for granted sometimes, and other people saying, wow, how did you get there? And, you know, selling a product is not a business. Just because you could sell something, that doesn't mean you have a business. A business consists of a bunch of different things. I mean, our business consists of an office, and Sam's really the only producer. He sees 99% of the people that come in.
Yep.
And besides myself, there are 5 people that support one producer. 5 people, okay? Yep. So there's a receptionist, there's somebody that processes business, there's an office manager, and there's 2 guys who do service and call people. So, I mean, but we didn't start that way. You know, we started with one assistant to share between 4 people. and she would do, the phone calls and fill out the apps and do all that, and it just wasn't enough. Now, people hire assistants for different reasons. We were talking earlier, and you were saying, well, in my business, I was a control freak, and it was hard for me to give up control. Well, I'm at the other end of the spectrum. I don't like doing certain things. I'm not good at doing certain things. I recognize that I'm good at doing some things, and I like doing some things. The things I like to do is get business and sell. Everything else I don't like to do. I don't like to make phone calls. I don't like to fill out applications. I don't like to do service work. I don't like to call an insurance company. Where's my money? I don't like any of that stuff. To me, that's like a waste of time. Anyone can do those things, but not everyone can sell. And that distinguishes the men from the boys, because there's only a few that can really sell. Otherwise you're just a service person. So if you spend 100% of your time just selling or marketing yourself and selling, imagine how your business can increase. But you need somebody else to take up the slack, Brian.
And that's exactly what we want to talk about with you, Rich, today, because I think we all know that, right? We all know that we shouldn't be doing certain things, but you kind of coined this phrase: are you busy?
Yeah, right.
Or are you productive, right?
Well, busy's not productive.
So let's talk about that for a moment. What do you mean by that? And give me some examples of maybe what changed in your business and how you've evolved to the point you got now, and how you became really efficient and productive versus busy, right? Because go ahead.
Well, I know that, when I first started in business, like everybody else, you just, you have a list and you're calling people and you're returning calls. So, and then that was the important thing to do at that particular time. It's not, now it's not, but that particular time, that was the important thing to do. And that was the hardest thing to do, call, because, we get paid for the no's, not the yeses. You get more no's than yeses in our business. So I would busy myself with other things. I'd clean my desk, I'd fill out, an application. I would do other work, and by the end of the day, I felt I had a busy day, but it wasn't productive. I didn't make any money. In order to get from point A to point B, you have to get that busy stuff off your desk and do the things that only you can do and are good at. So being busy, I think, is just avoiding, what you really know that you should be doing.
But isn't it harder to be busy and filling out paperwork and chasing service problems, or is it harder to really get on that phone and make prospecting calls and network and become a marketing machine?
Right.
I mean, so one thing being busy and productive, the other thing is, what's easier, right?
Well, it's what's easier and what your job is. I mean, we get paid a lot of money for what we do.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're paying, if you hire somebody, you're paying them $50,000 a year to fill out applications. Meanwhile, you're making $500,000 a year. Why are you making that much money? Because you're able to talk to people, you're able to prospect, you're able to market. The person filling out those applications, they can't do that. If they could, they'd do it. So you shouldn't be doing the job, and they cannot do your job. So you have to focus on what your job is. If you think, like in our business now, we have Sam's in a room, and basically people are ready to do business when they come into the office. And all of that preparation is done beforehand, between the marketing, how we position ourselves, the guys that call in our office to make an appointment, to answer the questions, to the information we require before people come into the office. And so they're ready when they walk in to do business. I mean, probably 40% of first meetings that Sam has are closes. And our average case, I mean, last year, average case, I think, was $460,000.
So, Rich, it's not, and don't get me wrong when I say this, it's not that you have some sort of special product or some sort of best product that somebody else doesn't have, or it's not like you've got some sort of clever way of closing business, or, with some sort of secret closing technique, that has really nothing to do with your success.
Has nothing to do with the product. I mean, as people here, if you've been in the business for 5, 10, 20 years, the product changes all the time, and we're all resistant. Oh, this is not as good as the other one. It pays more, it pays less. Listen, it's all Kellogg's cornflakes. We all sell cornflakes, and everybody sells the same thing. It's how you position yourself in the marketplace and how you get up to bat more than the next guy. If you keep busy doing busy work, what does that take away? It takes away from you doing what you're paid to do. Prospect, marketing, sitting down with people, figuring out ways how you can fill your book.
But a lot of advisors say, my clients count on me to fix their problems, and I really want to, answer their calls about changes they want to make to their contracts or whatever. They count on me to do that. They want me to do that. I'm the best at doing that. How do you respond to that, Rich?
Well, I think that's a misconception. I mean, I think that, anytime you talk to a client, the client thinks you want to sell them something, okay? Sure. Whereas if they talk to a service person in your organization, they don't feel threatened. They can ask that question, and it gives them, I think it gives the client more of a sense of security, because there's someone else there to answer that question, that they don't have to bother you. If there's a real problem, we'll talk to the client. But if there's not a real problem, they don't have to talk to us.
Well, you like to use the metaphor of a doctor's office at a very successful medical practice. How would you make the connection?
Well, you make the connection by if you go to first of all, you go to a doctor's office. The doctor doesn't come to you. You're not driving to somebody and sitting down at the kitchen table. So you go to, if it's important enough for you, you go to the doctor. And so you position people like that. Then you go to the doctor when you want to go to the doctor, between 10 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You don't want to hit traffic. So people come in, you want to see us, you come from between 10 and 4. Every appointment is pre-screened. People are sent out a letter and a confidential, questionnaire. It's very simple. What are your 3 top concerns?
Like a doctor's office.
Yeah, how much money you have.
Like when you sit down at the doctor's office, you have to answer all the questions.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Only there's less questions, because all we want to know is, how old are you? Are you married? What's your family makeup? What do you own, real estate-wise, money-wise, and what are you concerned about?
But they don't get to see the doctor till all of these things are done by the staff, right?
That's right.
So your staff, you've got a nurse and a receptionist and an intake person and a claims person, and you've got many different specialized people in your office like a doctor does. I don't see the doctor till the end of the appointment.
Right, you don't. And the doctor's there just to, fix your knee, because you're coming in, your knee hurts. And that's what he's there for. But everybody's positioned, every client's positioned to do business at that first meeting. That's the goal. I mean, everybody would want that. Everybody that walks in their office, and you don't want to see people that say no. You want to see people that say yes. But where do you start with that? You start with a staff. You have to invest in your business. You have to capitalize your business. What does that mean? Capitalize means that you have to set up money aside to pay for things. If you have staff, we run our business, and I think our zero for money in the bank is probably $150,000, $200,000. That's our zero, for money in the bank. Also, we have a line of credit with the bank that if we don't have that much money, we need money. So we have a line of credit that we could draw on. Yeah. And I remember one year, Brian, we had a terrible last quarter, but our staff worked hard. They did the best they could, and for some reason, our last quarter just didn't work. Well, Sam and I went to the bank, drew on our line of credit to give out bonuses. So we borrowed money to give out bonuses to staff. Why? Because it wasn't their fault that we didn't do well that quarter. It was our fault. And, people people knew it. Everybody knows what business you're doing or not, but they appreciate it and they're loyal. And when it comes down to working hard, everybody works hard.
And talk about the impression you're sending and the message you're sending, and how important it is. You know, when you're asking someone to give you next to their home, their biggest asset.
Yeah.
Of having an office and a staff and people that can handle certain things and specialists. I mean, I maybe don't want my doctor handling my claim, right? I wouldn't expect them to do that. So well, talk about the impression and how important it is to have that business versus just a one-man show.
If you know, if you don't have what looks like a successful business, you cannot, I don't think you're in a position to ask for that. If you want a place to sleep at night and you go into Motel 8, you have an expectation of spending $39 or whatever they go into the Ritz or the Four Seasons, your expectation is that you're going to spend $400 for the room. So as soon as people come into the office, that's their expectation. Hey, we're here. We're going to solve your problem. Give us all your money. So,
and they do.
And they do. You know, I mean, you have to have a certain look and a certain feel and a certain swagger to be able to ask people for $1 million transfer. I mean, Sam, you know, we used to think $1 million was like, oh wow, hey, we did $1 million with this client. Well, now it's like we do that often. You know, I mean, not often, but we do big tickets.
Was your average ticket over close to $500,000?
Our average ticket was close to half. I think it was $460 last year. It probably might be higher this year. I mean, there's a couple of elephants in there, but you know, there's. I mean, we rarely take a case that's $100,000. We feel that's risky.
Yeah, and talk about being in the right frame of mind, right, and having a quality of life and being on top of your game because you're mentally always plugged in. You're not chasing commissions and fixing problems and getting all stressed out and burnt out because you're doing stuff you're not good at, you're not equipped at, you don't like it, it's busy, not productive, and that doesn't that play a big role, Rich? And well, I mean, you've got to be at the top of your game when you meet with these people. If you're freaking out about service problems and all this other stuff, you can't.
No, I mean, unless it's a real problem, we don't really get involved in it. But if it's just normal problems, and every business has normal problems every single day, you know, and you hire staff, and you don't micromanage, and you give them the ability to make those decisions and to satisfy that client. Because you don't want the client eventually calling you to say, hey, Mary wasn't really nice to me anymore. You want your staff to solve those problems. You know, then we talk about like, you know, what are the other roadblocks of hiring somebody? Well, some people just don't know how to do it. You know, besides the money, so I got to give her a 1099. I have to do an accountant. Should I take taxes out? What do I do with insurance? You know, oh, who do I hire? You know, all of that, you know, everybody should have an accountant that helps them with business decisions. Accountants can help you with that. Best type of people are those who are organized. The cleanest desk is the best desk.
Yeah.
So you're lucky you run your business, Brian, because your desk is not that clean. And, you know, but one of our best staff was a bookkeeper. And she processes all the business, and she follows up on all the business. And a bookkeeper has to be precise. The numbers 2 and 2 has to equal 4. It can't be 5, you know? So she's very precise. She makes sure everything happens, and she is very good. So you would look around for somebody like that, maybe a bookkeeper. These days, somebody has to know about technology. Like I don't know anything about technology. You know, we're doing this webinar. You had somebody tell you, Brian, press this button, press that button. Okay, now you could talk. So
what about the fear factor, Rich, of, you know, having to pay somebody and, you know, I've never done that before, and, you know, how do you overcome that? I mean, how did you overcome that? You didn't just wake up with 5 people one day, right? Or 10 people. You started somewhere, and it was a big decision to start.
Everybody is different. I mean, your fear factor when you hired people is that you were afraid to give up control. I was never afraid to give up control. I want to give up control. I don't want to do those things.
Sure.
So I have more fear about having to do that than hiring somebody to do it.
Yeah.
I've always been in business, and I've always believed that you hire the right people. If they're not the right people, you fire them, and you get somebody else that's the right person. And you usually know within 2 weeks if somebody's going to work or not. And it's best to get rid of them quick, okay?
Yeah.
I remember, I made that mistake when I hired someone when I think it was the second person I hired. It was just me. I was doing business on my own. And finally I had to fire her. And she says, "Why?" I said, "Well, you're not that good." And she says, "Well, I haven't been that good since I got here. Why are you firing me now?" It's like, so.
And the retail financial advisor business model, you don't need 30 people working for you. You've got a small, intimate, family-like feeling. You run very efficient. I think the key is you've hired the right people over many years. But what do you have, 6 or 7 people?
Right. Well, we have, let's see, there's 3 in the front office. There's five that support the business, Sam and I. And I do most of the marketing now. Sam sees, 99% of the clients.
So at the level we're talking about of production, 60, 70 million of premium is, 7 or 8 people. So do the math, right? We're all math people. So for those on the phone that are listening, you don't have to go out and hire 6 people. Hire 1, hire 2, build an infrastructure of 2 or 3 people. You'll be very successful.
Well, listen, if we take in $4 million net, and it costs us $2 million to run the business, marketing and paying everybody, so what does that leave us? Leaves us with splitting $2 million. So that's okay, you know?
Yeah.
So that it might cost you $2 million to run everything. That's how you make money. That's how you make money. You have to have a business.
Well, Rich, thanks a lot.
We're done?
We're done. I think those are great words of wisdom and advice, and what's really valuable about them is you actually walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah.
So for what it's worth, folks, there's some great advice from Rich. There's some things you need to stop doing before you start doing to get to the next level of production. And if you want to learn more about DMI's marketing services or mentoring programs with people like Rich here at DMI, here's the next steps. Contact myself or our Vice President of Sales, our Vice President of Marketing, and we'll get you hooked up and involved in aspect of our marketing services here at DMI. Rich, you're looking good. I think the tennis game is going well.
Tennis game's going well. Backhand's good.
Business is good. You guys are off to a tremendous start this year.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And can you come back again?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you come back again? All right. So
Rich, just pick a date.
Rich has promised to come back again. You'll be getting an invitation, everybody, soon on Rich's next topic. He's always got something very timely and pertinent to share with the group. So again, everybody, thank you for your time. Enjoy this spring day, and we'll be speaking to you all soon in the future. Bye-bye.